So this was, some basic stuff on how to actually go about inserting your content to the HTML page. Let's have a look at how to create a table. So the way tables work is, again, there are a set of predefined tags, and it has a lot of attributes which you could kind of use it, and then that'll basically create a table for you. Now let me just use the same code. So I have two sets of codes over here. First one is just to create a basic table. The way we do it is, number one, we go ahead and define our main table tag. So we say that, my table code is going to reside between these two tabs. The way we do it is, we close and end using a /table tag and encapsulate our code between these two. Now there are a couple of tags which you can use to define what is a row, what goes in a row, what is a column, what goes in a column, and so on and so forth, right? And you might argue that sometimes when I actually make a website, I may not know the number of columns and number of rows, right? How do I do that? So that's basically some dynamic generation of tables that can be done in server side, and we can look at other techniques of doing that. In this, let's assume that we know that we have a predefined number of rows, we have a predefined number of columns, and how do we go about creating that particular table? So you see that I have created the table, the start and end tags, and I'm going to say that I need a small border for my table, and that's going to be just 1 pixel, just a small border. So this defines the overall layout that I have a table created, but there are absolutely no columns or rows here, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to define a set of columns and set of rows. So let me go ahead and create a row, and whatever goes inside this is basically what we define in row. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to define two headers to this. So the header has a tag called th, and I'm going to call this as header1 /th and header2 /th. So you see that I created one row and two columns, and apparently those two columns are our first row columns, so it's going to be headers. So just to get a feel of this, let's see how it looks like in the browser. So you see that it created one row with two columns, and I've defined those as headers. Now let me go ahead and add some rows. So I'm going to say this is my second row /second row, and let me go ahead and define my column values. Now the next column is, again, it's not it's not a header, so I'm going to go ahead and say /td. td is basically what you define inside a column. So I'm going to say this is okay, let's use the same example, row 1 cell 1 and td row 1 cell 2. Okay, perfect. So we have something to work with now. Let me go ahead and refresh this, and you see that this is how you start creating. So similarly, just to extend this example, I'm going to add one more row, again inside tr tags. I'm going to say this is my row 2 and this is my cell 1, and let me add one more value to the second column. So this is going to be row 2 cell 2. So this is how you can just extend to how many ever rows or how many ever columns you need. Now you can get really innovative over here. You can go ahead and add more stuff to this. You can add links, you can add pictures. Basically it's just using the right tags here. So instead of, I have just used text here, but you can go ahead, you feel free to kind of use anything. Like let's take this for example. Let's just add this. When I refresh this, I'll get this, so it'll take me to Google. So pretty simple stuff. Again, it's just a matter of knowing our tags. At this point, we are just dealing with plain static data. That is, we know the content, we know how many rows, how many columns, etc. are there. But trust me, in the coming videos, we will make sure that we look at some dynamic aspects of this as well. And what we'll do is, at the end, when we have sufficient information on how to create a basic HTML document, we will create an end-to-end website. We'll try to add some JavaScript to it. We'll try to add some CSS content to it as well. So before I end this video, I'd like to show you one more thing. I'd like to talk about lists. So lists, as you know, the name suggests, is basically a bulleted list or a numerical list that we generally use in our Microsoft Word and so on and so forth. Now, lists can be pretty useful. Now think about it as you create a list that can be kind of your menu, and then you can control the visibility of the menu using JavaScript or CSS or something like that. We won't go into those aspects as of now. We'll just create a static menu. Let's assume that we know the number of items in the a static list, and we know the number of items in the list. So again, as the lists, as we talk about list, there are two types. One is ordered and one is unordered. Let's have a look at both of them. I'm going to go ahead and create an ordered list in this case, and the tags are pretty simple. OL stands for ordered list, and I just close the tag. And the way I define my list item is using the li tag. So I'm going to call this as list item 1, and to close the tag, and I'm going to call this as list item 2, and I'm going to close this tag. Perfect. Now let's see how this looks like. So you see that this is a numerical list, okay. Now the reason why I put over here is I put this below the table tag so that it's not included in the table. Let's also look at a bulleted list. It's called as an unordered list, or UL, and we'll have just the closing tag, and again the syntax remains the same. List item 1 and list item 2. Cool. So if I just refresh this, you see that it's a bulleted list, this is a numerical list. So it's that simple. We kind of just glance through how to add some text, how to add some content to your website, how to use the body tags. We looked at how to create links. In the previous videos, we have created images, so you can use the same concept to create an image and use that as a link. We also looked at how to create a table, and then we looked at how to create lists. So it all drills down to the fact that after all, just creating an HTML document is a set of syntax, right? You basically have a file with an extension .html which has a set of syntax, and you deploy it to a server, and then the browser interprets those syntax and kind of gives you a website. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.